Hi, Dr. Marian Owen with Whole Family Medicine in Decatur, Georgia. I thought I would do a COVID video by a bookshelf so I could be like news people. So I came down into my husband's office to do this video for you. It's actually the only quiet place in my house right now. But it is November, Thanksgiving is coming, COVID is rising, so I thought I would use this opportunity to kind of answer a few of the questions that we're getting a lot in clinic right now. First off, a lot of you are asking what to do about Thanksgiving gatherings and if you can safely get together with family members this year. And I think that while there are safe ways to gather that I've covered in previous videos, being outside 6 feet apart, wearing masks when you're closer than 6 feet, and if you have to be indoors, limiting who can be indoors, cleaning surfaces afterward, wearing masks absolutely while you're inside, and limiting that time, I think are the only, still, even though they are inconvenient truths, that it is still true that those are the ways to protect yourself. And so with Thanksgiving, we generally, we want to gather with our friends, with our family, and celebrate and eat good food together and watch parades or football games or whatever it is you do, or if you're in my family, play a bunch of bridge and continental rummy. But it is just not the year that we can safely do that. People coming from different parts of the country, you're going to get exposure in travel no matter how careful you are. You're going to be pulling different exposures together, and that is just probably not the wisest thing to be doing right now. Or it's not the wisest thing to be doing right now. It is unwise. Some of you will probably want to do that anyway. And again, if you do, there's some simple things like prepare what you're going to serve beforehand so that you're not together in the house for a long time cooking. Gather outside or in well-ventilated areas. Certainly anytime you're going to take off your mask, so when you eat, you should be outside. Minimizing your time together, unfortunately. Those are the safe ways to do it. There's ideas that, well, I'll test before I go, or I'll test at this point. If the tests were good enough, we could do that. Or if we could get the results back fast enough, we might be able to do that. But they're not yet. They're pretty good, but it depends on the timing from exposure. The good ones take 2 to 3 day turnaround time. The rapid tests just have too many false results. And so I think can be misleading. So it's my recommendation that you stay with the pod you've been podding with. If you do have people in your family that you want to gather with, do that in small groups after appropriate quarantine. Don't gather in a large group, because no matter what people say, because they want to see you, they want to be with you. And if they are more cavalier about COVID, they're going to be cavalier in their reporting about their behavior. So you're not necessarily going to get the full truth from people about how careful they've been. So, you ask people, are you being careful? Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely being careful. I only, get together with my friends once a week, and we only 2 of us eat indoor, and we go to this one restaurant where it's really safe. There is no safe indoor restaurant. So, once you query down into what people's real behaviors are, I'm surprised how many people are engaging in what I would consider to be unsafe behaviors. Just because the state's allowing it doesn't mean that it's safe for us to be doing. So that is my Thanksgiving take, and I'm sorry. If you have any questions about your specific case, I'm happy to answer them. But if what you're calling me for is permission to do something that I just said you shouldn't do, you're not going to get that permission from me. So listen to what I just said and then call me if you need to. Great news about the vaccine, that there are 2 different vaccines under development right now, and they could potentially be game changers, but no time soon. The people that are reporting most honestly about this are saying, we might be able to roll out a few million doses, in the next few months, but it's going to be into the spring before there will be enough available at a population level that it would probably impact your experience, and probably not really until next fall before there'll be enough that my very healthy patients will be able to get the vaccine. So that's great news. It's coming. It's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that our COVID exhaustion is about to get released. We are still needing to be in lockdown. And that being said, the case counts are going up. In DeKalb County, we have been over a 5% test positivity rate for the past week. And that is not counting, I believe, the rapid antigen tests. Those aren't counted in the positive test reports. So I'm not sure why or how the state is deciding to report those numbers, but I'm just assuming that the numbers are higher than what they're reporting. I don't know what percentage higher, but assume higher. So in DeKalb County, we have been above 5%, and 5% is the cutoff that WHO had set for when to be on stringent restricted travel, restricted exposure. So it is time to back up. After we got things under control in Georgia for a little while earlier this fall into the summer, things were pretty safe around here. And, while we were all still masking and everything we can do, it did start feeling like we could do a little bit more shopping or a little bit more gathering. But those numbers are climbing, and that is no longer true. So we in Georgia will be as affected as other parts of the country if we don't start behaving as though it is a critical time. So be safe, stay home, stay in the group of people that you've decided to trust. And if that's been working for you, apparently they're trustworthy. So that's good. If you've already had COVID and you have, the general word is probably that you can't get it again, but we don't know that for sure. There have been some reported cases of people having two absolute different documented serotypes, so different viruses, two infections. So these viruses change over time. So how rapidly they change and when a new strain that might be more resistant to whatever antibodies or immune response you have generated, those changes could happen anytime. And so don't be cavalier. If you've had it, continue to wear your mask, continue to protect yourself, wash your hands, all the things you've been doing, and don't touch your face to prevent getting it when you're out and about, like at the grocery store and things like that. Minimize your time in all of those places. I'm also getting a lot of calls from people that say, I was exposed to COVID. And being exposed to COVID means you were in close contact with someone who has a positive test, not you were in close contact with someone who was in close contact with someone who had a positive test. That's not the same thing. So if you have been in close contact with someone who has a positive test, 5 to 8 days after that contact is when you should test yourself with the PCR test that takes a few days to come back. Once you know about that exposure, you should quarantine. You should quarantine until you have a negative test or until 14 days from your exposure. If you were exposed to someone who was exposed to someone, that you need to follow up with that person who you were exposed to and find out what their test results were. So, when someone gets exposed, they are not necessarily contagious for a few days. So the timing of your exposure to them would matter. Whether or not they become positive for the disease would certainly matter. So don't panic on those secondhand exposures. But, do be mindful. Like if that happened, if I knew about that, I might be less likely to go see my dad. But in terms of needing to quarantine or notify all your friends, no, you don't need to do that. But do follow up with your exposures. And, if you know that they were exposed, find out what their test result was and then behave accordingly. I think those are the main questions I've been getting. I hope that you have a good Thanksgiving, that you take advantage of some of the recipes I have down below. I will also post a link to the New York Times article by a few epidemiologists talking about how they're going to handle Thanksgiving this year. I think their insights are really helpful. But do please stay safe. Don't let the need to be with your family override what you know is safe for you and safe for them. We're trying to protect each other here, and so please continue to be safe in that way. If you have any questions for us or any need of us, we are available for you. So give us a call and let us know what you need. Take care.